Thank you, and good morning, everyone. Can I start by acknowledging the traditional owners of the land on which we gather and pay my respects to elders past, present and emerging. Can I, of course, acknowledge Minister Shannon Fentiman, Minister Mark Furner, Councillor Donna Kirkland, Barry O'Rourke, Brittany Lorga, Senator Matthew Canavan, David Crisafulli, Jason Scott, Chris Jones and Anna Caldwell. Well, thank you very much for the opportunity to speak at the Bush Summit. What a better week to celebrate the strength we have in this country when we all come together. Seeing all of Australia cheering the Matildas was a great reminder of that strength. City or bush, young or old, north or south, it doesn't matter. The cheers for the Matildas were all the same and will be just as loud and proud in Brisbane tomorrow. Sport unites us, and that unity is famously something we see in Queensland a lot. Perhaps it is because we are so exposed to natural disasters, we have learned to rely on each other. But it's always there, this feeling that no matter how far apart we are, we're in everything together. Just last week, I was in Longreach with Minister Furner and Mount Isa with Minister Hinchcliffe and Minister Butcher. Longreach to inspect some new social housing projects. Since coming into government, we've delivered 1,848 social homes outside of southeast Queensland. 828 more are in the pipeline, with 41 in outback Queensland. I met 3 local apprentices working on the project in Longreach. I also met with Mayor Tony Rayner and councillors from surrounding areas. I met with local tourism operators. In Mount Isa, at the suggestion of the Mayor, we've invested $4 million in a new community hub as a safe space for women and young people. We also have a new government coordinator, Alan. And of course, I went to the Mount Isa Rodeo. I've been 6 times. We even had the Prime Minister along. The Mount Isa Rodeo was something started by the local Rotarians. Now it's the biggest rodeo in the Southern Hemisphere. Our government supports it and many other events, including Beef Week here in Rockhampton, because it brings the community together, and when you live hundreds of kilometres from your nearest neighbour, these events are so important and worthwhile. Queensland is Australia's most decentralised state. It's something we are proud of. We are not a one-city state. We never have been, and we never will be. In my experience, regional Queensland has only ever wanted one thing: a bit of respect for the contribution it makes. Whether that's economically, culturally or even spiritually, the strength of Queensland is in the regions. Industries like mining and agriculture never skipped a beat during the pandemic. They helped make the Queensland economy the best in the nation. There are 275,900 more jobs in Queensland now than before the pandemic, 9,300 more in mining, 50,000 more in construction, 43,000 more in professions, 152,000 more in health. Since we were elected, 88,200 more jobs have been added in regional Queensland. 1 in 5 jobs is generated by exports. Our agricultural exports rose an astonishing 27.7% in the past 12 months, and primary industries in this state reached a record value of $23 billion in 2022-23. In the last financial year, quality Queensland coal exports were over $70 billion, beef exports rose to $7 billion, and raw sugar exports reached around $2 billion. And where do these exports come from? Regional Queensland. As a government, we returned the proceeds directly to the people who earn them by investing more into our regions. For example, we are currently embarking on the biggest investment in infrastructure Queensland has ever seen. A record $89 billion investment in roads, schools and hospitals, and 65% of it is being spent in regional Queensland. We all know how important water and water infrastructure is. It also includes increasing the capacity for Queensland's biggest dam, the Burdekin Falls Dam, completing the 80,000 megalitre Rookwood Weir, which I understand is on track for the end of this year. This is very important, starting the works on the nearly $1 billion Fitzroy to Gladstone pipeline. Now, why is this important? Because this connects to start off our hydrogen industry. So it's very important, and when I travel overseas, and talk to them about the hydrogen capability we have in Gladstone and Townsville, you need that pipeline infrastructure. So we're actually putting in place that infrastructure to make sure we have this brand new industry, which will bring hundreds, if not thousands, of jobs. And of course, the $273 million improving water security in Toowoomba and the Southern Downs. But the big build also includes more for regional healthcare. There is $3.6 billion for regional hospitals, including new hospitals at Mackay, Bundaberg, Moranbah, Millmerran, Tara and Toowoomba, and expansions at the Cairns, Hervey Bay and Townsville hospitals. The Building Rural and Remote Health program will deliver $943.5 million to replace rural and remote health facilities at Camberwell, St George, Morven, Charleville and Blackwater. We are partnering with the federal government so that 340 junior doctors get experience in the bush. We are investing $42 million to boost rural and remote maternity services, including the addition of 20 GPs to complete advanced obstetrics training. And I know the Health Minister will talk more about this shortly. We're also offering workforce incentives to attract more doctors and nurses to rural and remote parts of our state, with a $50,000 bonus for those who want to move to these towns. But first I want to make some important announcements here at this summit. Our government will provide certainty for the future of the township of Glendon. This small mining community near Mackay grew as a result of coal mining in the 1980s. I have seen Mayor Ann Baker and the Maroons also campaigning to save Glendon. I share their frustration. The end of the life of one mine does not mean the end of the life of others. And as far as the government is concerned, it will not mean the end of the life of Glendon. Today, I reaffirm our government is backing strong and sustainable resource communities. We will introduce legislation next week to give all parties certainty in Glendon, the community, the councils and the companies. Certainty that in Queensland there is no question local communities deserve their fair share. That's why we introduced the Strong and Sustainable Communities Act in 2017, encouraging local jobs, spanning 100% fly-in, fly-out workforce, and bringing social impacts right alongside consideration for the environment. We will continue to work with councils and companies for Glendon and for the future of Queensland's resources industries with the world's needs to supply critical minerals in the clean energy transition. And I just was on the phone to Mayor Baker, and can I say she was in tears. She said the around 400 residents that live in Glendon will be absolutely overwhelmed, and details of this legislation will be expanded further ahead of the sitting week. Now, friends, as we work towards the future, our government will also continue to support regional economies to grow and diversify. In the June budget, we announced the long-term extension of lower payroll tax in our regions until the 30th of June 2030. Today, I can announce our $50 million Backing Business in the Bush Fund. This is about helping business expand and relocate to the regions, supporting more good, secure jobs and more skilled opportunities in traditional industries. As we already have in agriculture, we have backed Morton Coast feedlot operations near Dalby, and they are now expanding. And in resources, where the latest teaching technology includes a mine simulator for students at the Mackay Resource Centre of Excellence. And in manufacturing, where we've supported Rheinmetall, the factory in Maryborough, Swicker's Bacon Factory at Kingaroy, and Mercurius Biofuel Plant in Mackay. The Backing Business in the Bush Fund will build on these success stories. In addition, I can announce a $30 million Backing the Bush Communities Fund. This includes $8 million for workforce training in partnership with the Queensland Farmers Federation and AgForce, with a focus on essential and emerging skills for agriculture. And Minister Furner has told me how important this is to deliver for the communities. It also includes a $10 million for community projects like parks, music trails, festivals. It's an opportunity for councils to partner with businesses or companies for these small grants. It may also include, for example, painting, money towards painting or upgrading a country pub, or putting in accessible infrastructure, or it may be, for example, partnering with councils to have more events, permanent events, on their yearly calendar, which attracts, of course, more tourists. So these are things that the councils have raised with me and operators, and I believe that this $10 million in particular, sometimes it's the smallest of grants that has the biggest impacts in small communities. Now, also in health, our government believes in good jobs, better services and, of course, our great Queensland lifestyle. All of these can be found in our regions. To demonstrate our commitment today, I announce that we will not just refurbish the Rockhampton's mental health unit, we will replace it. This new $91.9 million, 31-bed facility will be brand new and state-of-the-art. And Minister Fenneman and I were having a good conversation about this morning when we travelled up here, and I know that Barry and Brittany have also been very strong advocates for this as well. This is a big issue, not just across rural and remote areas and regional areas, but across all of Queensland. Mental health is a very, very big issue. I can further announce that we will partner with the Queensland Brain Institute to bring a groundbreaking treatment for Alzheimer's to clinics across Queensland. The UltraThera device uses ultrasound technology to stimulate the brain for treatment on a variety of diseases. The government will invest $5 million to ensure this technology is available across regional Queensland to help the estimated 1 in 10 Australians over the age of 65 living with dementia. In education, today I can announce the government will partner with the not-for-profit Lifehouse International to expand its program of connecting regional and remote high school students with upgraded digital devices. 2,000 of these digital devices will be distributed to students to promote digital access. Now, I also wanted to mention a couple of projects that tell the story of Queensland's regions and outback. They link the past and cement our future. Shortly after becoming Premier, I listened to graziers consistently heartbroken by stock losses around Longreach and Charleville. Their solution was very simple, but no one was listening. Now, as a result of listening and delivering, we have built 9,000 kilometres of cluster fencing to keep the wild dogs out and protect 6.5 million hectares of grazing land. It has seen the resurgence of the sheep, wool and goat industries of central Queensland. When Banjo Patterson wrote about jumbucks in Waltzing Matilda, he was talking about the regions around Winton, and now they're back. It was an idea that came from out west. Before the wild dog fence, sheep numbers had fallen from more than 8 million to less than 2 million. Now sheep numbers, lambing rates and jobs are returning in abundance. That's a nod to the historic and ongoing contribution of Queensland's bush. The future is demonstrated in two more massive investments in regional Queensland, ones that set this state up for the next century. The first is our energy and jobs plan. Over the next 4 years, we're investing $19 billion transitioning to cleaner, cheaper, renewable energy. $12 billion has already been invested in projects that are operation or under construction, and the second project is CopperString. This $5 billion project is the largest grid expansion in Australia that delivers that clean energy via a new power line from Townsville all the way out to Mount Isa. This allows the development of the new mines in the Northwest Minerals Province, one of the world's richest deposits of critical minerals used for battery and clean energy production. On top of these transmission lines will also be fibre optic cables. This will bring the internet to the most remote corners of the state, connecting them to the world at the same cost and speed as capital cities. Queensland is working to create one of the largest regional data networks in Australia, 13,000 kilometres and counting. We play to our strengths and we build to our future. Sometimes these projects are big, like the ones I just mentioned, and sometimes they are as small as providing local sporting clubs with enough money to put the change rooms in for women and girls. We did that so women and girls no longer had to get changed behind trees or in cars, that they were treated as equal to boys and to men. It's led to a 155% increase in participation in rugby league. 236% in rugby union, 380% in Aussie rules. Now, at the moment, it's 34% in soccer, but I think you're going to see a massive increase in the participation in this sport following the Matildas. It also builds on another program started by former Premier Wayne Goss. It was a sporting team combining talented juniors and elite seniors, initially in Brisbane, but eventually it spread to 5 regional centres from Cairns to Wide Bay. The sport was soccer and the players were all women and girls. It's a lovely backstory. Today, 10 of the 23 World Cup Matildas squad are Queenslanders. And if we needed extra reasons to get behind them or get behind our state, it's just one more example of how everything we do in Queensland is about all of Queensland. When we back each other, we are unbeatable. And our brightest days are just ahead. Thank you very much for inviting me to the summit, and I look forward now to speaking with Anna. Thank you.